everyone. It's good to be back with you this week. Today I wanted to discuss the difference between fresh veggies versus frozen veggies versus canned veggies. This is something I've been thinking about for quite a while. You know, if I'm asking these questions, other people are probably asking these questions too. I want to, first of all, talk about fresh vegetables. And as we know, we go to the store, we pick out what it is that we want. But did you know that fresh veggies travel 1,500 miles on average to get to your grocery store? So they're picked when they're unripe and then trucked all those miles to wherever they're going. Then they get put on the shelves at the store. Then you go to the store, you buy those veggies. It may be 2 or 3 days after they put them out. They go home, they go in the fridge. They sit around for another few days, maybe even a week, so they're not super fresh when you buy them. Obviously, picking vegetables right out of the garden would be your best bet. You pick them when they're ripe, right? So they're at their highest state of nutritional value. How many of us really have a garden that's big enough that feeds our whole family all the time? We might have a tomato patch or some green beans or some squash during the summer, which is awesome and you should totally do that, but it's not always possible. So the next best thing is to go to the farmer's market because one, you're still getting veggies that are picked at their peak ripeness, which means their nutritional value is also at their peak. You're not having to pay or expend fossil fuels to get veggies from one place to another because you're buying local, and you're buying local, which is even greater. So you're supporting your local economy. So if you have the choice with fresh veggies, definitely go to your garden or go to your farmer's market. I'm not saying you can't buy them at the grocery store, but they're not as fresh as you want them to be. Okay, so next we're going to talk about canned produce. It is picked and cooked at its peak ripeness. So it actually does still contain a lot of their nutrients, but a lot of those are lost in the water, in the liquid. A lot of the nutrients are going down the drain. The cans are lined with BPA. And I don't know if you guys know about BPA, but it has become very popular in the last few years where cans like this one, this is organic black beans from Natural Grocers, and the can on the back says non-BPA. So a lot of cans are being made without it. A lot of plastic things like water bottles and plastic baggies, things like that, are now BPA free. And those chemicals can leach into the food that's in the can. There was a study and 90% of the foods that they tested had BPA in them. It was leached from the can. So it's proven that eating canned food is the main source of BPA exposure. Now you might ask, well, what's wrong with BPA? Well, it's not great. It has been linked to type 2 diabetes, sexual dysfunction, and heart disease. So that's kind of like strike one for canned foods. But canned foods are very high in sodium. But like this can, says low sodium. So you want to look for that if you're going to buy canned veggies. So I'm sharing with you today that I read that adults should not consume more than 2,300 milligrams of sodium a day. But then I read on the American Heart Association website that they recommend only 1,500 milligrams. So that's kind of a big difference. According to the American Heart Association, a high sodium diet leads to an increased risk of things like high blood pressure, stroke, osteoporosis, heart failure, headaches, kidney diseases, bloating. The list goes on and on. I mean, it's in everything. It's not bad for you. Your body needs it. So that made me kind of curious about what the sodium content is in certain foods. Let me tell you, I Googled a few foods, okay? So one of my favorite foods is Thai green curry. That has about 22 to 2,300 milligrams of sodium in it, just for one serving of that. So that's like my entire day's worth of sodium. So chicken Alfredo is 3,700, or just under 3,700 milligrams of sodium. So that's way over what you should have for the entire day. You get where I'm going with this, guys? All this to say, canned foods oftentimes have more sodium in them than just the frozen or, the fresh veggie. So that's why I'm telling you this. Okay, to give you an example, canned corn has 360 milligrams of sodium per serving. It's not for the whole can, that's per serving. For that same amount, you've got 5 milligrams in frozen corn and 0 in fresh corn. But here's the thing, if you can veggies yourself, you have control over how much sodium is being added to that can, if any at all. And you're also going to be canning it in a glass jar, which is much better for you. So frozen veggie, they're picked at their peak. So they have all those nutrients in them. And then they're flash frozen usually within several hours of being picked. And so they keep all of those nutrients in. So oftentimes they have more nutrition than their fresh version. Sauteing, blanching, baking, these are all the best ways to prepare vegetables, and especially your frozen veggies. Some veggies are better off when they're cooked a little bit, and then some are better off when they're not. I usually saute them. What I do, I empty it into a bowl a few hours before I want to eat it, and I leave it on the counter, and it thaws by itself. So it's like technically ready to eat by the time I want to make dinner. So my takeaway from all of this is eat a variety. I mean, that's the bottom line. Eat fresh and mostly frozen, but canned veggies every once in a while that are low sodium are going to be okay. 2.5 cups of veggie a day is recommended for adults to consume. So think about that when you're meal planning and at the grocery store. Leave a comment below and tell me what your favorite veggie is to make and whether you like fresh, frozen, or canned. Let me know if this video was helpful to you, and like and subscribe if you want.